Post-war recovery is an important process that many cities in the MENA region have faced. We had a talk to Professor Howaida Al-Hariti, who has studied and participated in the process of recovery of cities in Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq. She has an academic and hands-on knowledge. We try to understand what are the main challenges and trends around post-war recovery. Let's take a look.
For me, post-war reconstruction is quite different from post-war recovery. Reconstruction has largely been about the physical built environment, and many people refer to post-war reconstruction really as the act of physically rebuilding an environment. Post-war recovery is quite different. It's a more holistic term that is conceived to include the spatial, the physical, the social, the political, as well as the cultural and the social, of course. So it's really a process that is about building the community and building the social fabric as much as it is about the built fabric. It's very important that we also think of it as a process that is bottom up, that is community based, and most importantly, it's a process that's human centered. Of course, it's a process that is very political, and politics is highly integrated into the process of recovery. There is all kinds of politics involved. There is the politics of governance. It's largely politics of decision making. Who makes the decision about what kind of reconstruction model, what to build, what to introduce. There is also the politics of funding, which is the most contested one, whether the funding is regional or international. Funding agencies come with strings attached, and there is a lot of politics involved in funding projects of reconstruction in our part of the world, especially when multiple sources of funding occur and the local decision makers have to abide by all of these within the same framework of reconstruction. But what's also more interesting is the politics of the everyday, which is involved in a recovery process. If, again, we consider recovery as a process that is holistic, that is social, cultural, as well as economic, then there is the politics of the everyday, who gets involved, what kind of participatory model, what are the motivations behind the different projects for the recovery, who's the leading agency, are the displaced returning and are they involved? I mean, again, it depends on what kind of conflict and war we're talking about, but there's a lot of politics. If it's an occupation, there are international politics and law. If it's a civil war, then there are all kinds of parties that have to be reconciliating in order for the everyday politics to become peacemaking rather than war making. It takes a huge process of investment from all different agencies. Of course, different countries have their different models for reconstruction, and this is largely dependent on one's system of governance, the economic structure, as well as aid that is regional or international. All of these factors dictate what kind of post-war reconstruction takes place and according to which model. Lebanon, where I'm based, has experienced a great deal of war, conflict, Israeli attacks, the last of which was in 2006, and has therefore a wide range of experiences in terms of post-war reconstruction, all the way from the neoliberal project of the reconstruction of downtown Beirut, led by the Hariri government in the 90s, all the way to the extreme of a community-based participatory model as one finds in the reconstruction of Nahr el-Bared, for example. So there's a wide range of practices, and they also come with a wide range of funding. We have funding that is international, that comes through human aid agencies. We have regional funding from the Gulf that either comes through the government or directly to the villages and cities impacted. So also the funding creates a different models of reconstruction. Most important is the participatory model that we witnessed after the 2006 war in the South, where many villages were destroyed and local municipalities were the main actors in the reconstruction. And in that project, we witnessed a lot of local participation, locally led reconstruction that was aided by experts who worked from a community-led lens. One of the active agents then was the reconstruction unit at AUB, of which I was part, and we worked with the people on envisioning the reconstruction of their village and in bringing back the social fabric that was there before the war. It's not really a compromise, it's a position. You know, post-war reconstruction can either be about restoring the built environment as it was before the war or before the conflict, or can be seen as an opportunity to build something entirely new, to modernize, to provide new amenities, to start a whole new infrastructure for the urban condition. And we've seen that in post-World War II in Europe. We have many cities that took the opportunity to build new neighborhoods and to modernize and to introduce modern planning, and others that went back to restoring the condition exactly to the way it was before the war, like in the case of Warsaw, and to completely duplicate what was there before. I think it should not be about either position of extreme new environment or going back to the old one. It's an opportunity to rethink with the people what kind of environment they envision and how they can restore the social and the cultural rather than the physical. This is the most important approach that one can take. The important factor, however, that we have to take into account here is the duration of displacement. When war takes 15, 20 years, people move elsewhere, they build roots elsewhere, and they might or might not return to the same area. And this is very important to take into account when one is reconstructing or conducting a post-war recovery that is, again, social and political and cultural. The people who are there, their connection with the area differs if it's a 20-year war or if it's a 19-month war or a 30-day war or conflict. The connection with the place shifts with time. This is a very important factor when it comes to restoring it to the way it was or moving to something new. So each site in each case needs to be taken with its own time constraints and geography and the actual components of the built environment. If this is a site of heritage, it's a whole different ball game. If it's a residential neighborhood, it's also a different case. If it's a downtown, which is the heart or the capital of a whole nation, also the symbolic value of the place increases, and the moral ownership people take of the place also changes. So all of these factor into what kind of vision you have in relation to what was there before the war or the conflict. Practitioners have a big role, of course, especially with their technical expertise, but the process that we're trying to advocate is a process that's not expert-led. It's a process that's community-led, in which the experts, first of all, have to come from different backgrounds to form a multidisciplinary team that can address this integrated social, cultural, and political recovery. They have to buy into a role that is more of a facilitator rather than an expert leading the process. I think the most important challenge for our part of the world is to build a culture of participation and to entertain alternative modalities of recovery that are site-specific, that take into account the political, cultural, and social makeup of the place. I think we have to steer away from physical reconstruction as a model, top-heavy models, aid-induced models, and think of something that is more grassroots. We have to develop a framework that is sustainable as a development framework for recovery that is holistic and, again, heritage-led and human-centered. If we can do that, I think we will maintain identity, continuity of the historical narrative, and the character of the place.